CECOT, or the Centro de Confinamiento del Terrorismo, is a maximum security prison in El Salvador that has gained international attention for its stringent policies and unprecedented scale. Opened in 2023, it's designed to house up to 40,000 inmates, making it one of the largest prisons in the world. El Salvador has a long-standing history of gang violence, with groups like MS-13 and Barrio 18 exerting significant control over certain areas. These gangs have been linked to various crimes, including extortion, homicide, and drug trafficking. The government's crackdown on these gangs, spearheaded by President Nayib Bukele, has led to a dramatic decrease in homicides, but has also resulted in mass arrests and the construction of CECOT. The architectural design of CECOT is a meticulous embodiment of control, isolation, and deterrence principles. Every aspect of the prison's layout is crafted to reinforce its purpose as a severe and inescapable facility. From the arrangement of the cells to the layout of communal areas, the design reflects a deliberate intention to maximize discomfort and restrict any sense of autonomy. Since it was opened, CECOT remains underpopulated, currently housing approximately 13,000 prisoners. Within these walls, the distinction between human and non-human is starkly drawn. Officials here do not refer to inmates as people. Instead, they categorize them into two groups, humans and terrorists, with the latter being devoid of human qualities. Located in one of the most remote regions of El Salvador, CECOT's isolation begins well before reaching its imposing gates. The journey to the prison involves passing through 7 rigorous checkpoints, each more stringent than the last. These checkpoints commence a kilometer from the prison's perimeter and continue to its entrance. Each checkpoint is a fortress of security. Even journalists must undergo an exhaustive inspection process. At each stage, visitors are required to remove their clothing to ensure they carry no concealed items. Underneath, vehicles are meticulously examined, and only when each checkpoint's authority deems the inspection complete and satisfactory can one proceed to the next barrier. This multi-layered security system is designed to eradicate any chance of corruption within the prison walls, strictly prohibiting drugs, mobile phones, and any other contraband. As you advance through these 7 barriers, you eventually arrive at the prison's entrance, where a unique set of protocols awaits. Personal belongings must be placed in a basket and transported to a designated holding room. Visitors then pass through a metal detector to ensure no cold or hot weapons are brought inside. This entrance process is specifically designed for journalists and excludes the possibility of bringing in prisoners through this route. CECOT's stringent regulations extend to visitation policies. The prison is designed with no provision for traditional visitations. Even appointed lawyers are barred from entering the facility. If a prisoner needs to communicate with their legal representative, they are brought to a specially equipped room to engage in a video conversation through a television and camera. This method of communication is reserved solely for lawyers, leaving prisoners entirely cut off from the outside world, including their closest family members. There are also powerful jamming devices to ensure that no mobile phones or wireless devices can function, effectively isolating the inmates from external communication. The prison's officials utilize their secure wireless system to maintain communication within the facility, further cementing the separation between inmates and the outside world. The entrance process for prisoners is equally stringent. Upon arrival, prisoners are completely undressed and subjected to an X-ray machine that reveals their internal body parts, ensuring that no contraband is concealed within their bodies. They are then escorted inside, with their hands and feet restrained. They are forced to look downwards, avoiding any view of their surroundings. Inside, guards are typically unarmed, relying only on batons. Despite this, the prison is not without its form of internal control and enforcement. The design and procedures at CECOT underscore its role as a maximum security facility where isolation, control, and deterrence are paramount. Armed guards oversee the prison from above, their watchful eyes never leaving the sprawling expanse below. The cells in this facility defy conventional prison design, each a cavernous space designed to house up to 100 inmates. Unlike any other prison globally, these cells are essentially vast communal rooms where privacy is a distant dream. Inside each cell, the conditions are stark and harsh. There are no enclosed toilets, showers, or bathrooms. Instead, the solitary toilet stands exposed, devoid of a door, rendering its use a public affair. Both guards and fellow prisoners have an unobstructed view of anyone using the toilet, adding a layer of humiliation to the already grim reality. The sleeping arrangements are equally dismal. Instead of traditional beds, prisoners are provided with metal shelves, hard and unforgiving. There are no mattresses or pillows. Those fortunate enough to possess a blanket or towel must use it as a makeshift cushion beneath their heads, adding minimal comfort to their sleep. For personal hygiene, the cell offers little relief. There is no proper shower. A small basin is the sole washing method. Inmates can clean themselves with the provided towel, but their options for drying off are as limited as the washing facilities. The constant presence of harsh, unyielding conditions creates a relentless atmosphere of discomfort. El Salvador, where this prison operates, retains capital punishment only for war crimes, excluding terrorism from its scope. Thus, the terrorists housed within these walls face sentences more severe than death, with terms stretching into thousands of years. For lesser crimes, sentences are still extraordinarily long, though a rare few may receive terms as short as 20 years. Remarkably, no one has yet been released, as the facility has been operational for just 1 year. The prison is bathed in perpetual brightness, thanks to an array of bright lights that never turn off. The cells are illuminated as if it were always day, with the lights directly shining into the inmates' eyes. To cope, prisoners often drape their towels over their faces in an attempt to sleep. This unending illumination serves as a form of psychological torture, contributing to an atmosphere of constant agitation and distress. Inmates are also deprived of any sense of time. The unchanging light and the absence of clocks or calendars ensure that they remain disoriented and anxious, their internal clocks thrown off completely. Each cell features a large barred window facing the main hallway, where guards are perpetually stationed, their presence a constant reminder of the surveillance that permeates every corner of the prison. Above the cells, the ceiling has a mesh-like structure that allows guards on the upper floor to maintain an uninterrupted view of the cells below. The facility's design further includes scattered sandbags around the perimeter, which crunch loudly underfoot, making it impossible for anyone to approach or leave the area unnoticed. This sound serves as an audible barrier, ensuring that any movement around the prison is detected from a distance of 50 meters. The prison is enclosed by 3 layers of solid concrete and sturdy mesh fences, with the outermost layer rising 9 meters high and topped with electrified mesh. This formidable barrier renders escape virtually impossible, even if a corrupt guard were to attempt to assist an inmate. Daily, 10 prisoners are extracted from their cells, handcuffed, and allowed half an hour in a hallway for some movement. This brief period in natural light is the only respite they receive. The officers overseeing these movements always wear face coverings to protect their identities, a precaution against potential retaliation from cartel members who might recognize them, especially if the media captured their images. Before President Nayib Bukele's administration, El Salvador was under the control of criminal cartels, instilling fear throughout the population. Many officials now serving in the prison come from backgrounds familiar with these criminal elements. When prisoners are moved, they are handcuffed, bound at the feet, and often shackled together. This practice ensures that the briefest foray outside their cells is controlled strictly. The government of El Salvador underscores the severity of the prison's inhabitants by stating that each of the 20 prisoners exercising within the facility is responsible for at least 200 murders. This grim statistic serves as a stark reminder of the prison's role in housing some of the most dangerous individuals, reflecting the extreme measures taken to manage and contain them. In the sports corridor of CECOT, the scene is one of tight control and constant surveillance. Inmates, who are temporarily freed from their handcuffs and leg restraints to exercise, are surrounded by armed officers. These officers maintain a vigilant watch over the prisoners, ensuring that every movement is monitored. Their task might seem straightforward, but it is crucial to the prison's stringent security measures. The prisoners' affiliations are unmistakable. Among them are members of notorious gangs like MS-13, a group known for its violent history. Within the prison, rival cartels are often placed near, intensifying existing enmities. In some cells, rival gang members are forced into close quarters. Yet they avoid eye contact and interactions, not out of fear of each other, but due to the presence of the watchful officers. The tension is palpable, but the real fear lies in the consequences enforced by the guards. Journalists frequently visit the facility, raising concerns about the inhumane conditions and questioning the treatment of the prisoners. They protest against the harsh realities they witness, arguing that such treatment violates human rights. However, prison officials welcome these reporters, eager to showcase the harsh realities of the inmates. They invite the journalists to examine the files of the prisoners, revealing a litany of violent crimes: rape, kidnapping, murder, robbery, and drug trafficking. Often these revelations convince the reporters of the prisoners' dangerous nature, tempering their criticisms. The inmates of CECOT, particularly those with connections to gangs that once terrorized El Salvador, are not viewed with sympathy by the public. Before Nayib Bukele's administration, these gangs had turned the country into a battleground, causing widespread suffering. The Salvadoran people, relieved by Bukele's reforms, see the current harsh conditions of the prison as a necessary measure for maintaining order. Any display of defiance or unrest among the prisoners is severely punished. Those who protest or cause trouble are sent to the black hole, a dark, grim cement room with only a dim light for illumination. This room, which doubles as a toilet and bathroom, is extremely isolated. Inmates are confined here for days or even weeks, depending on the severity of their transgressions. Inside the black hole, there is no natural light. The only source of illumination is a small, barely visible hole above. The prisoners receive their meals 3 times daily: bread and boiled beans with a dollop of sour cream, a traditional Latin American dish. This sparse diet is monotonous, with no meat or variety. Every 10 to 15 days, they might receive a small portion of rice or macaroni to prevent complete mental deterioration. But the absence of meat is a constant. Meals are served in plastic containers left behind the cell bars for the inmates to retrieve. After eating, prisoners must clean their containers and leave them for the guards to collect. Eating utensils are absent. They must use their hands. Unlike prisons in other Latin American countries, where gang members often hold sway and instill fear in the guards, CECOT, under Bukele's administration, operates differently. Here, the criminals are subjected to stringent control, and the officers maintain their authority firmly. While CECOT has garnered support for its role in reducing crime, particularly in El Salvador, it has sparked significant controversy. Human rights organizations and critics have raised several concerns about the prison, ranging from overcrowding to allegations of human rights abuses. These issues have led to debates about the long-term effectiveness of CECOT in improving the criminal justice system and preventing crime. CECOT's large capacity is central to its role as a deterrent, but it has also raised concerns about overcrowding. Critics argue that housing a vast number of inmates in confined spaces creates conditions ripe for disease outbreaks and deteriorating health. The close quarters make it difficult to maintain proper hygiene, leading to fears of communicable diseases spreading rapidly within the prison walls. Furthermore, the prison's austere environment, where basic amenities are severely limited, can exacerbate these health risks. Perhaps the most significant controversy surrounding CECOT is the consistent allegations of human rights abuses. Reports from human rights organizations claim that prisoners are subjected to extreme mistreatment, including physical abuse, torture, and psychological manipulation. The prison's notorious black hole, a dark, isolated cement room used as a punishment for unruly prisoners, has been a focal point of these allegations. Inmates are reportedly confined in this small, windowless space for days or weeks, with little to no light, subsisting on meager meals of bread and beans. Human rights advocates argue that such treatment amounts to torture and violates international standards for the humane treatment of prisoners. These allegations have drawn criticism from global watchdog organizations, which have called for investigations into the conditions at CECOT. The prison's reliance on harsh punishment as a method of control has raised concerns that inmates are treated more as captives of war than as individuals with rights and dignity, regardless of their criminal backgrounds. This focus on punishment over rehabilitation raises concerns about recidivism. Critics point out that many inmates, especially those affiliated with gangs or criminal organizations, may return to their old ways after serving their time. The extreme conditions of their incarceration could even harden their criminal resolve. Without meaningful efforts to reform behavior, CECOT may contribute to a cycle of crime and imprisonment, where former inmates are more likely to fall back into criminal activities upon release. CECOT's existence also raises broader questions about the direction of El Salvador's criminal justice system. By emphasizing harsh punishment and mass incarceration, the prison may shift the country's focus away from addressing the root causes of crime, such as poverty, lack of education, and gang violence. Critics argue that, while prison may provide a short-term solution to crime, it fails to address the underlying social issues that drive individuals to criminal behavior in the first place. The prisons model, which relies on extreme control and punitive measures, has been described by some as a step backward in terms of criminal justice reform. Instead of working toward restorative justice or rehabilitation, CECOT represents a return to a more authoritarian approach to law enforcement. This has led to concerns that the prison's long-term impact on society may be more harmful than helpful, as it could perpetuate a cycle of crime rather than curb it. El Salvador's government boasts that CECOT still has room to accommodate up to 40,000 prisoners, while the current population stands at 13,000. This statement is a potent reminder of the prison's capacity and role in ensuring national security. The message is clear: any attempt to misbehave will be met with the full force of the prison's capacity, reinforcing the deterrent effect of CECOT's design.